Hey guys, welcome back to an all-new episode of a pro wrestling podcast with Matt and Friends. I am your host, Matt Kozakowski, and alongside me today is a rising star in professional wrestling, man. I'm so excited to say this, man. Darian Bengston. Darian, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
Dude, I'm so pumped for this episode. Like I said before we started, man, I see so much there for you, and I'm so stoked for this show because I know hands down, man, you're going to be a world champion in such a short amount of time. So to have this honor to have you on my show right before that happens, I'm excited, man. I'm so excited about this episode.
Thank you so much. That means a lot. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Yeah, man. So, I start my show is pretty much basic. Simple questions. We go into more detail, obviously, throughout the show. So let's get started. When did you fall in love with pro wrestling? Around what age were you like, yeah, man, this is the coolest thing ever?
So I have kind of like two points in time for that. So I was born in Waterloo, Iowa, which a lot of people consider like the birthplace of professional wrestling. It's the home of the NWA. But my family wasn't, my parents at least weren't really into wrestling like that. My dad was an amateur wrestler, like pretty accomplished. But the Attitude Era was, what was popping when I was, a kid, and they didn't think it was like appropriate. So I didn't get to watch it then. I came in probably around 2007. I actually got my start with WWE, ECW, and TNA were my entry points. Because WWE, ECW was on the Sci-Fi Channel, and TNA was on Spike, and so it was like not on the channels that my parents knew wrestling was on, so they didn't like realize what I was up to, you know what I'm saying? But that's where it started for me. I think the first match I ever saw was CM Punk versus John Morrison in a 15 Minutes of Fame match.
I remember that match like it was yesterday.
Really?
Yeah, it was a good match, man. Their rivalry together was just awesome. Great storytelling. And, that's right around the time John Morrison went from Johnny Nitro to John Morrison.
Yeah.
And he had that like California gimmick, like Hollywood. And dude, I absolutely loved it. I thought it was fantastic. Him being ECW champion. And so going back, obviously you've watched older ECW matches now since you've grown up. What are your thoughts about the new revival of ECW when you first started watching it? Obviously, did you think it was as bad as people said it was, or did you actually enjoy it?
Oh, I adored it. I didn't get it for a long time. Everyone would talk about how bad it was. Like, what do you mean? This is really good. And for me, and especially thinking like long term now, it's like, well, that was my introduction to CM Punk, and CM Punk is one of the biggest people in wrestling ever now. And so it's like, well, but you said this was bad, but he was there. So how could it have been, So I was very like that. I watched Kofi's debut. I watched Evan Bourne's debut, Matt Sydal. And so it was just like, I saw all this stuff and I was just like, but these people are great and they're still great. So how could it have been bad? And, going back, like I get it now. But I still think for me, there's still a sentimental place that it holds a lot of value in.
Oh, for sure, man. And I still, to this day, I shit you not, I will go back and watch when Christian returned on ECW. And just the moment his music popped, dude, I still to this day have chills. Like, it's like, yeah, dude, what happened? Like, if it wasn't for ECW, it wouldn't have given us that moment. You had Finley doing his thing in ECW. You also had Elijah Burke, one of the most underrated pro wrestlers of all time. Absolutely killing it down there. And I don't think ECW's revival, when it happened, I don't think it was as bad as people gave it, said it was. I enjoyed it thoroughly. I didn't have Sci-Fi at the time, so I would have to watch the clips on YouTube and stuff. But it was great, man. I didn't think it was as bad, as people said it was, for sure.
And I get that it wasn't what ECW was, and that's probably what people were like, their big discrepancy was.
Right.
But for me, like as its own standalone thing, I really appreciate it. And like they gave Matt Hardy his world title, that's the thing. Like the ECW, they said it was a world title. So Matt Hardy was world champion. I think that's really cool and important to not erase that,
Oh, for sure. And Matt Hardy, another one, very underrated, deserved that title run. I think a lot of people, look at Jeff as, Jeff is the Hardys. Like, no, it was Matt and Jeff. And I think Matt is absolutely incredible at what he does too, for sure. It's funny though, because we mentioned the Hardy Boys. I don't know if you've been around the Nightmare Factory and stuff like that. You know who Josh Breezy is for sure. Hardy Boys collector. Dude, that's insane. And like his excitement about seeing the Hardy Boys, meeting the Hardy Boys, I'm like, dude, Matt and Jeff were just both equally as good. Like, equally as good. But it's the conversations we have about the Hardy Boys, man. It's crazy. But nah, man, I was reading Twitter today and Matt was talking about what he did with Orange Cassidy on, I think it was Wednesday or Friday. I don't remember which one it was. But when they wrestled, he got knocked out with the brass knucks from the blade. Mm-hmm. And then Matt Hardy just dropped and people are like, what just happened? Like, and he explained it on Twitter today. And I was like, dude, he's got a creative mind. Like, obviously when you drop like that, it looked like it was the twist of fate. So it just works.
Yeah.
But who are some of your favorites growing up? I know you said you started watching it back in 2007. So who did you really take a gravitating liking towards?
So I love the Hardys, Matt and Jeff. I think they're both amazing in very different ways. I find it happens often with that, where there's pairs like that. I think they're both really good in ring, but Matt, from a character perspective, I think is so underrated. I think he's such a good character. V1 Matt Hardy, so good. Like,
oh yes,
so good. And
Crash Holly, Shannon Moore. I mean, dude, awesome.
So good. I love all of the broken stuff. I loved him being in the cruiserweight division when he was like clearly heavier than everyone else, because he's giant. Like, and especially in real life, in person, I've gotten to meet him a couple times. He's huge,
Yeah.
So I think he's sick. So I'm a really big tag, even though I'm not a tag team wrestler per se myself. Those are my favorite acts in wrestling. So the Hardys, the Motor City Machine Guns,
yes,
the New Day. That's really like I really love. Those are like probably my three favorite acts in wrestling. I love Kenta. I love Shinsuke Nakamura, Kevin Owens. There's a lot of people that I really love. But growing up, it was like when I was younger, it was the Hardys and the Motor City Machine Guns. That was
for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, I'm a big tag team guy too. Like I tell it all the time. Like tag team wrestling, hands down, was my favorite thing. Paul London and Brian Kendrick will always be my favorite tag team of all time. Paul London, one of the best professional wrestlers of all time. Brian Kendrick, same thing. Put them together, dude, awesome. And the Machine Guns were right there with them. It was very hard to tell which one was better because, dude, I had the honor to meet Alex Shelley before, and his mind, dude, is just insane. Like, for what he does of pro wrestling, dude, like, if you had to say one of the best professional wrestlers of all time, Alex Shelley, hands down, is one of the best professional wrestlers of all time.
He's my favorite of all time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. He's unbelievable, so charismatic, so smart, and looks at things from, I can't speak for him, but like for me, he's an artist, and like no one, I will stand so firm to this, no one has had consistently better gear than Alex Shelley. Like,
yes,
unbelievable. He had the boots with the kick pad that came over the knee, like, and just everyone dresses like the Machine Guns now. You know what I mean? Like,
absolutely. I mean, dude, the Machine Guns, so great, man. Probably the best tag team that ever came out of TNA, Impact, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, I 100% agree. Alex Shelley, dude. Oh man, if anybody can go to a seminar from Alex Shelley, they're learning so much, because that dude brings so much craft to the table. And like I've said it so many times, like I think, in my opinion, Kurt Angle is the best all-around professional wrestler. He's not even my favorite professional wrestler. Like, he's just all hands down, mic work, in-ring work, just the way he walks, talk, like everything about Kurt Angle just screams like, yo, dude, this dude, how do you not say he's the best? But Alex Shelley is right there.
I 1,000% agree with you, because when everyone has their like top 5 conversations of their Mount Rushmores, I think it's really boring to talk about who the actual like best, because what does that even mean?
Yes.
So it's like, I usually just go with like, who are my favorite 5? Because I agree with you. Like, if it's just based off of like being an all-rounder, it's got to be Kurt, I think.
Yes.
It's just got to be. But yeah, that's that same answer for me. But yeah, with everyone else, I always do like just who's my personal favorite as opposed to who I think is the best, you know?
Oh, for sure, man. I mean, hands down, I always said Shawn Michaels. Like Shawn Michaels was always my favorite. If I have two different top fives, man. I got a top five for the indies and I've got a top five for like mainstream. But I mean, to my number one will always be on the indies, Davey Richards and JT Dunn. Those two are both absolutely fantastic performers. But like, Jude, I mean, it's hard to tell, man. Like, I don't know if you've seen the promo, but Alex Shelley's about to wrestle Davey Richards. And I tweeted about that earlier. I'm like, dude, if this is not match of the year, I don't know what is, because that match is going to be nuts.
It is. They're so good. And like, now that I'm really starting to get some traction, like, I just want to be around them. Because Davey has Team Ambition. It's his group out in St. Louis. A lot of those guys are very, very, very close personal friends of mine. Camaro Jackson, Tootie Lynn Ramsey, Mike Outlaw, Raheem, all of them. And they love him. They can't say good enough things about him. And now that I'm kind of wrestling in his area, I'm hoping to, you know, maybe get around him. You know, Shelley. I'm in Tiger Driver 9X. And, you know, he's kind of like, I don't know, like him and Tankman are like team captain, you know? So I love
so you get to work around him a couple times, you know?
I'm hoping so. Yeah.
Absolutely, man. I mean, dude, you're already, I think, a fantastic performer. So to learn around those guys, I mean, it's going to be insane to see what kind of career you're going to have. Cause
thank you.
I just all around, man, like the look, everything, it just screams uniqueness to you. You know, I was watching your matches that you had in Championship Wrestling from Atlanta, which I'm really stoked to see you a part of, because I think seeing you more on a televised role each week or whatever, I think is going to be a great platform for you, especially because a lot of great talents come out of Championship Wrestling programming. Now I've seen both the matches that you've had, and you won with like kind of variations of roll-ups. And the one you did against Koloff, I'm like, dude, that was the most unique way I've seen that kind of a pin. Like the roll through, the takedown, and then the roll around. Like I was like, dude, that's insane. But you started kind of a feud with Alex Chamberlain after you beat him, because he came out and attacked you after that match. Let's kind of talk about that, how your experience has been with Championship Wrestling from Atlanta, and let's talk about those matches a little bit.
Yeah, Championship Wrestling from Atlanta has been it's been a blessing. It's been a very good experience. They're very much a meritocracy. They're very big on, you know, people helping, earning them spots. So that's what happened with me and Chamberlain. Chamberlain is someone who has a lot of history on him and is a career veteran and all this stuff. And I'm very new. It'll be 2 years for me on the 29th of November. And to basically, like, I didn't know what I was going to be doing on the show. I had absolutely no idea. And I think I was maybe going to work a dark match, but I just really grinded. I did a promo for the first show. I was passing out flyers and doing everything. And they're like, you know, let's give the kid a chance. Marquez and LaQuasto and Scotty Beach and Zicky Dice were like, you know, we recognize the effort that you really want this. So let's give you this match. And, you know, I don't think anyone was expecting me to be in that position. And, you know, I don't want to call it luck, but to be able to be in there and be in a position where I pinned someone like Chamberlain, who's so experienced and so renowned, was, yeah, really such a good experience. And being able to work with him, his brain works in a very different way that I really like. It's really exciting and different.
Right. No, for sure, man. And just to see right off the bat, you kind of starting a program with somebody like that, it's absolutely cool to see, especially being more of a newer face that a lot of people don't know yet. I mean, to be in a rivalry with a promotion that is coming off the base of the United Wrestling Network. I mean, that's just an awesome thing in itself, for sure. Now I want to go back a little bit here. When did you realize pro wrestling was what you wanted to do?
So basically my story is I am an actor, and I moved to the United Kingdom. I moved to London to pursue acting. I got my master's degree in classical acting from the Royal Central School of Speech and Drama. And I had sort of a traumatic experience where a director cut all of my hair off. and it really just like without my permission, just grabbed my head, pair of scissors, cut it off. And I was like, yo, like it made me like kind of start to fall out of love with it a bit. And Kofi Mania was happening around that time. And there was a woman who was working on the show who did sounds and lights for Lucha Britannia and some other companies in the UK. And she was just saying like, hey, you know, if you need to get away from this for a while, like I do this fun thing, you should try it. I had a talk with my agents. They were wanting me to get into sports, and they were like, you know, whatever you want to do. And I was like, oh, someone talking about wrestling. I'm like, oh, we have a wrestler on our books. And that just happened to be Anthony Ogogo. And so Anthony and I started training together in England, hit it off, became really close friends. And then when the pandemic hit, I had to come back to America because of my visa. And he was like, hey, why don't you, you know, join me? We'll train at the Nightmare Factory and just kind of restart. So
Yeah.
It was kind of something I fell into by accident, even though I loved it. Kofi Mania was definitely the thing that like made me be like, wow, this is, I find that acting is very important work, and wrestling did the same thing for me that acting did, seeing that.
Oh, for sure, man. And it's funny that you mentioned that, because I was actually going to talk about that, because I was going through your Instagram and I seen like you were dressed up in like Shakespeare kind of esque outfits and stuff. And I was going to talk to you about that actually, which I think really, does that help with your like promo work and stuff like that? Because like I said, man, before we started, when I watched your promo with Will Hobbs, that's where I'm like, dude, this dude has it. Absolutely. And we'll talk about that more for sure in a minute. But did the experience with acting and doing that kind of stuff, like the drama, all that crap, not crap, because I loved it too. But all that stuff, like, did that help with your promo work? Like the confidence you have and stuff like that?
1000%. That's where really I got noticed first. So what drew Anthony to me was some poor guy we had promo classes at the London School of Lucha Libre. And this guy did a promo in class with an American gimmick and had an American accent, and it wasn't great. So for me to go directly after him, American accent being my native, you know, everyone was like, oh, wow, you just showed this guy up big, not knowing that I just was actually American. And yeah, I find theater has really prepared me for wrestling in a lot of ways, I think, because it's so dramatic in of itself, and presentation is so much of what we do. My favorite wrestler in the UK is Cara Noir, the Progress champion. He's outstanding, absolutely incredible, and
very theatrical.
Yes, his entrance is unbelievable.
Oh, absolutely.
I think got to be the best entrance in indie wrestling, maybe. Like, so good. And I like to find a lot of things that help me with that. So like I dress very different in the ring. I wear the little skirt thing, and you know, people call me knockoff Raven because of it, which is crazy. But you know, I think it's really aided kind of my personality and my character, and finding my voice in the ring. That's a very big thing, finding your voice and who you are as a wrestler.
Oh, for sure, man. And it's funny that you just mentioned your attire, because I mean, that's another thing that I like about you, because it has uniqueness to it. I mean, it has the skirt on the side. You don't really see that. I mean, people wear the skirts in the ring, but they don't wear it on the side of their tights like that. Now your symbol that you're wearing right here on your sweater. Where did you come up with the crown? Because I thought about this the other day, and I was talking to Rosario Grillo from TSF earlier about you being on the show, and I was like, dude, I think it's hilarious, because I'm like, the logo just reminds me of Jughead Jones from the Archie comics, not from Riverdale, but from the Archie comics. And I'm like, did that inspire him or what? Like, so what inspired that logo? I want to know.
Yeah. So there's the painter Basquiat, and Basquiat was really obsessed with the idea of crowns, with the idea that there are all of these uncrowned people in history, all of these people that were as great as kings, but never got to receive their flowers, never got to receive the recognition they probably deserved. And he has a painting, I think it's technically untitled, but I think people call it the Sugar Ray Robinson painting by Basquiat. And it's this really simple, it looks almost like a skull, with a white crown, and it has his name on it. And I've always loved Basquiat, but when Kofi did Kofi Mania, he also had Basquiat inspired gear. And it was just something that I was like really thinking of, like, who am I and who am I in the world of wrestling? And I thought about, you know, my Shakespeare background, the fact that I come from London, even though I'm in America. Bengston, I think, as well, which is my real last name. Is just there's a regal kind of sound to it. And my friends in England started calling me Lord Bengston, like that was my nickname. And so, yeah, just the crown and all that became a thing. My cousin is an artist, and she did my logo with the crown and the face, like the monocle and whatnot.
Yeah.
And yeah, just wrote it out ever since.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, no, I was interested in it because I was like, yeah, dude, it kind of reminds me of Jughead for sure.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know, man. It just hit. And I was like, I have to ask where the inspiration came from it, because I want to know if he's a big Riverdale fan or what.
I need to get some Jughead gear now, though.
Yeah, for sure, man. Wear a beanie or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
I love it, man. I love it. But yeah, I mean, it works, man, because you guys both, I mean, Jughead kind of has that theater-esque vibe too. So I like it for sure. London School of Lucha Libre, you trained there. Let's talk about it. Who was the trainers there? How was your experience with that?
It was amazing. I've never been in an environment so loving and nourishing and caring. I'm so lucky that I found them and that they accepted me. I mean, they accept everyone, but it was run by Greg Burge and Gary Vanderhorn. It has produced Will Ospreay, was a student of the London School of Lucha Libre. Nina Samuels from NXT UK, Leah James from NXT UK, Cara Noir, Malik, Keenan Krishna from Progress, so many people, and Heidi Katrina. There's just so many people, and it's Sadie Gibbs. Sadie Gibbs was from LSLL too, and just a really, really beautiful environment. Greg Burridge is one of the, you know, with my whole thing, he's one of the most uncrowned kings of British wrestling, in my opinion. Was in that era, you know, where he was wrestling AJ Styles and Chris Sabin when they would come over on tours. He was in a tag team with Colt Cabana called Team Shag. And they were the 1PW tag team champions. And he's just like, got it. He understands the theatricality. He has such a great mind for the psychology, and he understands the British like style, but was able to also adapt into it, the lucha style and strong style and all of these things. And he was one of these guys that kind of fit in with the old and new generation of wrestlers. And I owe so much to him. He's such a great help. Cara Noir taught me tons in our very short time together. Nina Samuels taught me tons in our short time together. I've had seminars with Ospreay as well. Super helpful. And yeah, it was a really amazing time. I was in a tag team called The New Blood there with Keenan Krishna and Mark Rowe. Keenan Krishna is now with Chris Ridgway's group in the UK. And yeah, it was just a blast. It was amazing.
Oh, absolutely.
While I was there, I met Darius Lockhart, the Revolutionary, while he was training, and he got me a spot in Shane Taylor Promotions for one night only in York Hall. So my first wrestling show ever was Ring of Honor United as like a posse for Shane Taylor, and that was an unbelievable experience.
Oh, absolutely, man. I seen that, and I was actually going to mention that coming up. How was the whole Ring of Honor experience, just for that short moment? But how was that experience for you? I mean, getting to be around all those minds back there and everything like that.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. Because like I said, I was like probably not even a month into training at this point, and to walk in there and see, and at the time, the roster was comprised of, you know, indie wrestling of the 2000s, you know, there was Cole Cabana and Jay Lethal and Skrull and the Briscoes and all of these guys, Jeff Cobb, Flamita, like all of these people who, you know, when I did start watching, were the people I was watching. Jonathan Gresham was there. Oh my God, Gresham was amazing, you know.
Especially with the last couple of years, dude. Jonathan Gresham is one of the most talked about professional wrestlers today.
1000%. So it was crazy seeing him. Brody King was there, and I just ran into Brody recently, and it was funny. Like, I didn't know if you'd remember me or anything, but yeah, it was such an overwhelming experience. And to sit in Gorilla, I think I was with Joey Mercury in Gorilla watching the show. We're like, I don't know, sharing pizza or something, and such a surreal experience from no experience to, you know, backstage Ring of Honor.
We go back to the ECW match where you've seen John Morrison versus CM Punk, and then Eminem. Boom, you're with them. Yeah. You know? Yeah. But that's awesome, man.
Yeah, it's been crazy. And, you know, now, like, through some of my work with like Dark, I've been able to be around Punk, you know, and so very full circle.
Oh, for sure, man. And like I said, I mean, just being around those kind of guys, I mean, you learn a lot, especially guys like Shane Taylor. I had him on my show, and dude is just a phenomenal person.
Yeah.
You know, Darius Lockhart, I think he started Black Lives Matter before it even started. I think he is definitely he is the revolution. I think Darius Lockhart is one of the most underrated guys of all time. I absolutely love him. I think he's fantastic. Speaking of Black Lives Matter, you were a part of Black Wrestlers Matter, the second one. How was that experience being around all that, you know, the Black culture of wrestling and stuff like that? How was that for you?
It was great. So I was on Black Wrestlers Matter, the original one, but only on commentary.
Okay.
And because I just come back from England and had never wrestled in America before. And Chris Manning, who is a phenomenal photographer in wrestling, recommended me to be on the show. The card was already full by the time I'd come around. They're like, oh, you know, we'd like to get you involved somehow. So I did commentary for that. Met amazing people, Top Flight, Frontman Jaw, JDX, ACH, like just all these really lovely people, Devon Monroe. And then the year following, they were going to put me in the Rumble, the Rumble before the show. And it had just been announced that I was facing Powerhouse Hobbs. And they're like, we think we want you to have a singles and really showcase you this year. So I got to work Doc Simmons, who's lovely, strong, fast, great performer. He's in a feud right now with TSF, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Country Air.
Okay.
And those dudes are great. And yeah, it was just a really lovely experience. Everyone there was so sweet. Jay Rose is one of my favorite people in wrestling, and I got to meet him there. I got to spend time with Shug D. My friends SK Bishop and Kenny Alfonso were on the show. So it was just a lovely time. Everyone was so supportive of each other. And everyone on that card was so talented. Commentary booth, Ewok and Dixon, they're so funny. Like, yeah, it was a blast.
Oh, absolutely. And I think it's very inspiring seeing something like that, because a lot of people don't give credit to the Black wrestlers when they deserve it. I think they're very underlooked. I mean, we're on our final, the fourth world champion in WWE who's an African-American. Like, come on, dude. There's more talent out there that is Black that you deserve to showcase more, and you're not because of what, you know?
Yeah. It's like, oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, no, I was going to say, I mean, you got Shelton Benjamin on my poster back here, who's absolutely an incredible talent.
Yeah.
And I had Charlie Haas on my show not too long ago. We actually talked about this, but should have been world champion. Mm-hmm. There's no question about it. And why wasn't he? You know what I'm saying? Like, Kofi Kingston took him forever to be the champion, and dude is just phenomenal. I mean, people wanted it for years, and then they finally got it. Finally, you know.
Lashley took so long.
For sure.
So glad he got it. MVP is amazing. Like, there's been so many, and it's good to see that things are kind of changing that tide now. is really lovely to see.
Oh, for sure, man. And I like I said, Darius Lockhart, I think, began the revolution before it started. And dude is just, there's so much talent out there. And that whole thing was just such an inspiration to see that you guys all came together and did a show to support each other and the Black community. I thought it was awesome.
Yeah, I'm stoked. The second one, or not the second one, but the next one will be in St. Louis in February. That's gonna be really exciting.
Maybe I'll have to drive out there and see it, because I definitely want to see you guys live, especially if you're going to be there. A guy like JDX is going to be there. I have to go for sure. Speaking of JDX, I watched your match against him at New South. JDX, a fantastic person as well. I've had him on my show. Dude is absolutely incredible. But what was your experience like wrestling JDX? I mean, I watched the match. I thought it was absolutely incredible.
Thank you.
I've been wanting to see what your finisher is, because like I've watched these matches and you either win by roll up or don't win on the YouTube matches that I see, because there's not a lot of them. So I need to ask you this before we go to the JDX thing. What is your finisher? Because I got to know.
So my finisher, the working title, I'm in that stage now where it's like I need to probably start naming stuff. But essentially what it is, and I need to get it out there too so it doesn't get stolen, but it's a Trouble in Paradise, but it's a Claymore instead of a roundhouse at the end. So it's a big boot. I land on my back. There's a big cover. I got to wrestle Raheem De La Suede. He was supposed to wrestle Fuego del Sol at WrestleMax in St. Louis, and Fuego unfortunately couldn't make it. So I was his replacement, and got me the big win. So it's I'm in love with the move. It's kind of the in between Kofi and Chris Heroes. So I really think it's something special. I've gotten good reactions off it, and hopefully the more footage of it I can get, the better.
I gotta see it, man, because just if you're saying it's between Kofi and Chris Hero, I mean, dude, that's gonna be sick. Especially knowing what you're capable of in that ring now, like, dude, the more you're performing it, it's gonna be insane. Like, I think it's gonna probably be one of the coolest finishers. But let's talk about your match with JDX. I want to know about your experience with that.
Yeah, so JDX is a good friend of mine. It's so funny. So my first show back in America was the first Black Wrestlers Matter, just as a part of commentary. And he was the main event against ACH. I adore ACH. I think he's so good. And I was like, man, like, this JDX guy is really good. Like, that's so crazy. And then I saw him at the Nightmare Factory, and I'm thinking, like, what are you doing here? You're out like main eventing against JDX, like, or main eventing against ACH. Like, what are you doing here? And come to find out,
JDX is so good that he can main event against himself.
Yeah. Just a mirror match, just throwing powder at it. Yeah. But come to find out, like, he's relatively new as well, and is just looking to gain some more experience and get better. It's something, like I said, I'm very new, but I'm in this position where a lot of people come to me and ask me advice or suggestions, and JDX did that with me, and I'm like, buddy, you like, you're great. Like, why are you asking me for stuff? Like, I should be asking you. He's very, but that just is a testament to how humble and hungry he is to learn and get better. Like, every match he does, he asks me for feedback. He always wants to know what he can do better, because you realize, like, the thing with wrestling is, like, every pair of eyes is going to feel different about something, and have their own palette for what they want to see next from him. And I just think he's stellar. I think he could do anything. Like, dude has an unbelievable look. He's so clean and crisp with everything he does. It was an honor to be able to work him at that show, and I'm hoping we can run it back sometime very soon. As a matter of fact, there's something happening in the near future where we might be. So we'll see.
Fingers crossed, man, because that match, I really enjoyed it. I mean, both of you guys are both incredible. I mean, so I would actually dream triple threat match right here would be you versus JDX versus Jason Hodge. Both upcoming talents, all three upcoming talents, all three killing it, man, doing your thing. I think that match right there would be a big money match for sure.
Well, it's funny you said that. I've heard through grapevines, I can't say where or when, but I've heard that there's maybe a triple threat me, JDX, Kid Bandit in the near future. So that might be, might be a big deal.
Kid Bandit is doing his thing, man. Very entertaining to watch, and I think he's just so fun. I mean, the promo he did on that Young Lions Cup when he was doing the announces for all you guys, like I was like, dude, I love this. This dude's awesome.
And I had to staple him in the nuts for it. So
for sure. And, dude, the Young Lions Cup, man, I didn't get to watch it, but I read about it, and you made it all the way to the finals.
Yeah.
How did that feel to get so close? I mean, you were so close to it, man. Unfortunately, came up short, but I was rooting for you the entire way. I was
Thank you.
Dude, Darian needs that, man. He needs it. He deserves it. He's busting his ass. I think he deserves it the most. What did it feel like for you to get to that far in that tournament?
It meant the world to me, really. Like I had mentioned earlier about the London School of Lucha Libre, unfortunately, due to COVID restrictions in the UK, the school had to close down permanently. Or maybe not permanently, but it's gone now. And the building is gone, and the Resistance Gallery was a total destination for wrestlers in the UK. And I don't think there will ever be anything like it. And so for me, this was my opportunity to represent for the people that have invested so much love and time and work into me. It's a debt that really I don't know if I could ever repay. It's such a special place that has given me a family and a home away from home on the other side of the planet. And to be able to represent and put on for them, sorry, to be able to represent and put on for them is like such a privilege, was such an honor. So to do that was great. I got to represent Tiger Driver 9X, which has put in so much love to me, which I appreciate. To see my friend Brooke Havoc, be injured in the first round was really devastating to me, and kind of changed my game plan, changed my focus for the tournament as well. I was able to get my win over Kid Bandit using Brooke's finish. So, I have to thank her for that, and wish her awesome. Speedy recovery. She's so wonderful. She's so nice. So.
Oh yeah, man. I felt the emotion. I really did, man. But yeah, no, man, Brooke was one of the most standouts that I've seen in the Nightmare Factory showcases. I'm like, dude, she's just gonna have a great future too. I think, the Nightmare Factory and Rhodes Academy put on such great showcases and shows so much talent that you don't know that some of these guys already have had backgrounds of wrestling, and they're just getting more training, and they're getting that spotlight that they finally deserve. Yeah. And then to see some of you guys out of there going on to AEW Dark or Elevation and getting an opportunity to showcase what you guys are capable of. We all know what Dark and Elevation is. It's quote unquote jobber matches. We've talked about this on my show a couple of times. But the cool thing about AEW and AEW Dark Elevation is the fact that it's not just jobber matches. You guys get to show some of your offense too. So you guys are showing what you guys are actually capable of a little bit, not to the full extent, obviously, but I mean, just to see some of you guys out there, man, it's just so cool. It's such a cool feeling. You've seen TSF there, you've seen you there, you've seen Dean Alexander, Carly Bravo, all you guys just killing it. Chad Lennox from the Rhodes Academy that I've had on my show, dude is hilarious. And then Lucas Chase, first RWA champion, was on. Like, dude, so much talent's coming through those showcases and those academies that it's just like, dude, this is nuts. But to see what you guys are doing right out of there too, it's awesome. But you got to have experience doing the not Rhodes Academy, the Nightmare Factory, training there for a little bit too. Tell us what it's like in their facility, how it is training in that atmosphere.
Yeah, so I was not a part of the camps, which is what basically everyone else you've had on went through, because I had prior experience. And I also arrived before the camps had started. So I've been lucky enough to just be a part of QT's advanced class. And, again, it's one of those things I think a lot of people take it for granted. And the people at the Nightmare Factory are my friends. but I think they don't understand how lucky they are in the sense that there are a lot of wrestling schools and the majority of them are bad. There are a lot of bad wrestling schools, especially what we've seen in the last year, 2 years at this point with the speaking out movement. A lot of schools are predatory as well. And
which is very sad.
Yes, 100%. And, predatory can be in several different senses. And the Nightmare Factory, that is something you would never have to worry about. Both QT and Cody are very protective of their students, and they care. There's a lot of schools out there that don't care. And I've been so blessed that everywhere I've trained thus far has been very, very special and has had wonderful people working there. I genuinely think, and this is now like, I've been to probably around 5 schools at this point in my 2 years, all across the world. And I genuinely think QT Marshall is like the best in-ring wrestling coach, whatever you want to call it. Like, he can do pretty much anything. Not even pretty much, he can do anything. That man, he can gorilla press you and he can Phoenix splash you. He has a very good understanding of, he calls it the roller coaster, keeping people on their feet, giving us the dips and dives, all the things that make this special, keeping things from, being boring, making things matter. He's just absolutely unbelievable. And I so desperately want the opportunity to see him shine more. Because he's great. He's so good. And I'm not just saying that, a lot of people have this sort of like euphoria when it comes to their coaches, because obviously they've molded your tastes.
Yes.
And he wasn't my first coach. I think Greg and QT, like, I've been so lucky to have them as my coaches, because the Greg is so character and art driven, and QT is so the physical expression of it. Like, it just melts so well. And they've both just given me so many special tools that I'm really fortunate to have the opportunity to work with.
Oh, for sure, man. And like you said, QT, dude, is insane. Such a great talent. I remember the first time I seen him, he was teaming with RD Evans in Ring of Honor. And I'm like, dude, this dude he's built, man. Mm-hmm. And I just think he's so underrated. He's always been an underrated performer. And just what he does with the factory as his faction and stuff, like, mm-hmm. Dude is just insanely good in that ring. And I don't think a lot of people give him the credit that he truly, truly deserves.
No, but what's good about him is he can show it, he can go out there and prove it. He's unbelievable.
Oh, for sure, man. For sure. Now a match I want to talk to you about that I didn't get to see, but I heard about it. You wrestled in the ring against Miranda Gordy, Terry Gordy's daughter. Yeah. How was that experience, being in the ring with a second generation superstar?
Yeah, so it was wonderful, actually. I love Gordy. So Gordy and Niles Planquet both live in Kansas City, which is where my parents live. So when I came back to America and I had no idea what I was going to do, a friend of mine, Heidi Katrina, was friends with a wrestler named Marty Bell. And me and Marty had a chat, and Marty recommended Niles Planquet to train with, as long as I was in Kansas City. And through him, got to meet Gordy, and she's the absolute best, and Niles is the absolute best, and different style of wrestling. I learned so much from them, and it was really just kind of on a whim. They had hit me up. She couldn't find an opponent. They really wanted a woman. It wasn't a market that's crazy about intergender wrestling, much less intergender wrestling.
Yes.
But regardless of how they felt about it, the work we did in ring was so much fun. Was so good. Gordy is strong. She's fast. She has great fundamentals. and it made her such a great opponent. And I told her, I just saw her last week, like I'd gladly run that back. And
oh, I'd love to see it, man. I want to see that up on YouTube. I want to watch it because just the talent she has compared to the talent you have, that match is going to be magic to watch for sure.
Oh, it's going to be fun. Oh, we might have a cameo real quick. You want to make a cameo real quick? You want to make a cameo real quick?
Yeah.
Yeah, you want to pop in? I appreciate you.
Hey.
What up? How's it going, man?
Good, mate. Yourself? How's it going?
Good, man. Good. Just chatting it up with our friend Darian Bengston over here.
Legend.
Oh, absolutely, man. Future Hall of Famer for sure.
Pardon?
I'm gonna try.
Future Hall of Famer for sure, man.
Yeah, but in what though? In wrestling, in music,
pro wrestling, man. Everything, dude. Everything.
Exactly. Right? How's it going? What have you been talking about?
Pro wrestling, man. Pro wrestling.
Did he tell you the day that we learned the Russian leg sweep together?
That's true. That's
I gotta hear the story.
The first move we ever learned, the Russian leg sweep.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, probably a more aptly named the dog shit leg sweep.
Yeah, it was bad. We weren't good. We were both really bad.
And then we had that little half a mini match where I gave you the Ric Flair bump.
Yeah, one of the first bumps I ever took was a big Ric Flair bump off the top rope.
The top.
That's so cool, man. That's awesome. Dude, bumps are hard, man. I trained for pro wrestling. I ended up getting a concussion my first day of training, and not a good thing for sure.
Yeah.
I actually first started wrestling. The first time I stepped into a wrestling ring, I was on my bachelor party. So I was a massive wrestling fan, right?
That's awesome.
And then, so we basically, my best man, they organized me to have a little, meant to be 2 hours, but after 70 minutes, we were all done. We were all just fucked because and the first bump I took, I jumped up really high because I thought this is like being a kid again, right? And I whacked the back of my head on the mat, and I was definitely concussed, definitely.
Oh, for sure.
The spots on that day I don't remember at all.
Oh man,
dangerous, man. It's dangerous. But if you know what you're doing, it's very good fun.
So now
for sure, man. I wish I would have stuck with it, but unfortunately, I didn't.
No, I just don't bump.
Yeah, now you hate wrestlers and you beat them up.
Yeah, exactly.
For sure.
Well, I'll let you boys. Nice to meet you, mate.
You too, man. Take care.
Take care.
That's awesome.
This guy's always stealing my spots, you know?
That happens. It happens. But yeah, no, Miranda Gordy, dude, I would love to see it. Let's talk about how great Marty Bell actually is, because I don't think a lot of people give her the credit she deserves.
Yeah.
Marty Bell, dude, the moment I knew she was great is when she first walked into TNA.
Yeah.
I didn't know who she was until then. And then, dude, everything she's done since I've followed. She's the NWA, one half of the NWA women's tag team champions with Allison Kay. Mm-hmm. Dude, she just is so incredible. And it's a shame that she just does interviewing backstage at Championship Wrestling from Atlanta. I would love to see her do in-ring work because she's great at what she does.
Maybe that's coming, you know?
Fingers crossed, man.
No, Marty's sick, and I can't stress enough how fortunate I am. I feel like I'm a very fortunate person. Without her, I don't know how I would have gotten started training again in America. She was very selfless and has done a lot for me and helped me, kind of navigate through everything in a time that was really hard for me. So love Marty, very appreciative towards her.
Oh, dude, for sure. I would love to see her team back up with Mia Yim now that Mia Yim's going back to the Indies. Mm-hmm. A very underrated tag team right there for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, man, I want to see that match. I think you versus Gordy on YouTube would be a big hit for sure. A lot of people would love it. Let's talk about SWE Fury. You've been a part of that a couple times. Let's talk about your experience with that.
Yeah, so that was actually through Nas Planquet. During the pandemic, they had to do a set of tapings in Missouri due to some of the restrictions that were happening in Texas. And this was my first American match ever, was on SWE. And I did not understand the American style of wrestling at all. was very new to it. Just we do things differently in Britain. You know, not to be too insidery, but you know, the bump and feed comeback is a big thing here. When you need a rally, you need to get some quick offense in, you know, usually clotheslines and then a big move. I know that worked. And they're like, yeah, you just got to put them on the ground a couple times, whatever. So I think I did something really bad, like flying snapmares or something not impactful at all. Real pretty, real graceful, you know, and I worked such a different style to a lot of the guys there. You know, a lot of the guys are old school Southern wrestlers, and I was out there giving people crucifix drivers and stuff like that. So
That's sick.
It was a time. And I remember Russell Campbell Myers, who's a very good friend of mine now, for SWE, and Road Warrior Animal was there. It was, I think, kind of his last set of tapings before he passed away, unfortunately. But he gave me feedback on my match, which was so cool to have that experience with him. And I can't remember who was running the show at the time, but it's a really well-respected referee who's worked in the business, James something. I feel really bad. I can't remember. I remember me and Campbell are, you know, doing all our high flying and all of this stuff. And I just hear him from the commentary booth go, "All right, boys, don't be afraid to wrestle now." It was like, yeah, we should have figured that was going to be the taste around here.
Oh man, yeah. SWE Fury though puts on hell of shows, man. Awesome shows. I enjoy watching them very much. Now we're gonna take a step away from pro wrestling really quick. I know you've done some stuff with DDP Yoga.
Yeah.
What's your experience like with that? I know DDP Yoga started just by helping people, and it's become such a big conglomerate thing that a lot of people, even if they're not wrestling fans, know what DDP Yoga is. Tell us what your experience was like with that.
Yeah, it's great. So through Anthony, I was able to meet Dallas, and dude, anything you've ever seen about him and his generosity is absolutely true. He is so kind and giving, and has been such a great mentor to me in a lot of ways. He's given me a lot of help in terms of like who I need to be as a wrestler and my character and things, you know, like I have a hand sign because Dallas had a hand sign, you know, like he was telling me like, these are the things, like you need to open up, you need to let the people in, you know, and giving them something that they can do with you is really a big deal, you know. And he's so great, so generous. And so really like I was just working out with him. Just, you know, still during pandemic times. He was very cautious about COVID and things like that. So he moved away from the performance center and was just doing workouts at home with, you know, few select people. And I was lucky enough to be one of them. And it's just blossomed into a really lovely relationship with him and his family, who I have a lot of love and time for. Through him, I've become close friends with the singer Teddy Swims, with the actor Paul Walter Hauser. And Dallas has just really bridged a lot of gaps in my life, and I'm very thankful to him for that. DPY is so good. It is so helpful for me, and I feel so banged up, and I'm only 2 years in, so I can only imagine, you know, how other people feel. You know, Jericho always says that DDPY is what saved him from having to get back surgery. And I've seen people lose hundreds of pounds and really change their lives around because of him. And yeah, I can't put over enough how just great Dallas is.
Oh, for sure. And I've heard so many, like I suffer from severe depression, and a lot of people are like, yo, why don't you try DDP Yoga? It's so calming. And it's just, so I'm like, I might give it a shot. And I just, financially, can I afford it right now? And I reached out. DDP Yoga was like, well, here's the discount code. We got you. And I was like, all right, cool. I'll try it for sure. But yeah, no, man, I want to, because I think it's just such an awesome thing what they do for people and helping them with so many different types of things, pain, losing weight, emotional kind of thing. You know, it's awesome. I think the whole thing is just so cool. And for you to be a part of it, I think it's such a real honor for sure.
Definitely.
Final question I'm going to ask you is a big question here for sure. AEW Dark, AEW Elevation. You've been a part of it a couple times. Tell us what your experience is like with that. The first time I seen you, like I said earlier, was you cut a promo against Will Hobbs before your match, which I think was your first AEW match. Yeah. And they got your name wrong on the promo. They spelt it wrong on the picture. And just the promo you cut, man, I was like, dude, this dude just talk, like he could talk, man. And that's so cool, because being new to the business, it takes time to get into that. And you just seem so comfortable with what you were saying. And I'm like, dude, this dude just knows how he's talking. I love it. I think it's great. Did you write that promo yourself? Did you just come up with it on the spot? How did you manage that promo you cut?
Yeah. So what I tend to do is I manifest the ideas and the feelings I have about what I have to say. And it's not like there's a specific script I need to follow, but there are definitely like bullet points that are important to me. So with talking about him, I mean, I am a huge fan of Hobbs and his work. And so it was very important for me to, state like, dude, you have it. Like, you're so strong and you're vicious and you have this crazy look about you. And like, bro, like you're a killer, and other people might not recognize that yet, but like I see it, So it's very important for me to like, let people know like, he's the real deal, and that's what I'm up against. You know what I'm saying? So, that was very important to me. Talk about the fact that he's a family man, because that's something that's really important to him and to his life. And it's, the reason he does this, the reason he works hard, the reason he fights the way he does, The name thing, I felt bad because there were some people who contacted me about it afterwards, because I wasn't really upset, because the thing is like, so many people at this point have worked for AEW Dark.
Yes.
That is a lot of people to wrangle and manage and take care of. And if one letter in my name is spelled wrong, that's okay. The point of it wasn't to be, oh, I'm pissed off, I'll spell my name wrong, put some respect on my name. The point was like, a year ago, Will Hobbs was an extra, an enhancement talent just like me. Now we know who he is, now we know who he is. And that could be me. That's the story I wanted to tell, it's like, a year ago you were in my shoes, and maybe a year from now I'll be in your shoes,
Yes.
So it was cool because it got me a lot of attention, positive and negative. But it was great to just get out there and express myself. And I think I got more coming down the pipeline in terms of promos and just kind of getting out a bit more about who I am.
Oh, for sure. And it's not like they called you Jeff Bengston, you know what I'm saying? Like, they got one letter name, it's not a big deal. But no, I see what you're talking about too, for sure. I mean, he was that level, not too long ago. And dude, speaking of it, I would love to see you in Team Taz now. If I think about it correctly, that'd be awesome. Being with Ricky Starks and Hobbs, I think Bengston fits perfectly with that.
They're cool. Hook is cool too. Like, yeah, they're the boys.
Oh man, we're still waiting for Hook to fight CM Punk. That's what everybody wants. A lot of people were talking positively about you taking Chuck Taylor's finish the other day or last week or whatever.
Yeah.
I read the comments and everything. People are like, yeah, dude, that was sick bump, 6-0. Like, I thought it was impressive. How did you feel about those comments? People coming into you like, oh, dude, your cells are awesome. Like, how did that feel for you?
I was, it's good. I think Chuck Taylor's great. I think the Best Friends are great. I think the Awful Waffle is like easily one of the best finishes in wrestling.
And the name's just so cool.
Yeah. It looks so brutal, and so it was great. And the thing is, and this isn't to like put anyone down at all, but I once had a promoter tell me, when we were discussing my rate, I don't care that you were on AEW Dark, half the country has been. And there's some fairness to that, but half the country hasn't been invited back every time.
Yes.
And not saying that means I'm stellar or I'm better than anyone, but that does mean that I'm lucky enough that they've placed some trust in me to work with these people. Because the thing that like wrestling, you want to win, but for me personally, in my code of ethics, I don't want to injure anyone, you know. And even if it is a 3-minute match, that's all it takes to, you know, ruin someone's career, injure them to the point of, you know, whatever, put them on the shelf. So there is a bit of trust involved in getting brought back and doing, you know, work with these people again. And not like putting myself over, but like you know, like Tony Khan has thanked me for, you know, doing matches with his guys and working with him, and you know, that means something to me, and it's something I really appreciate. So yeah, it's definitely been a privilege, and like I said, like WWE ECW, I took Matt Seidel's finish in an arena, you know, like
yes.
That means something to me, you know, that you know, working with, you know, both the Seidels and Dante and Hobbs and Wardlow and, you know, the Best Friends,
the factory,
yeah, like, you know, QT is my coach, and you know, luckily we didn't touch during that match. You know, I pretty much only worked with Solo, that rap bastard, but like, you know, it was a good time, and those are all dudes that like I respect so much too. I think Solo's so good. So
another underrated performer, and it took him so long to get to where he is finally.
Yeah, and it's up as well, you know, just good people. So
oh, for sure, man. And you know, like you said though, I mean, there's only a handful of people that I've seen come back months later to AEW Dark or Dark Elevation. You know, you see them like once or twice back to back, and then that's it, and then new people come in. So to have guys like you or guys like TSF or Dean Alexander come back months later after they've been gone from it for months, like, it goes to show that they trust in you guys to say like, hey, we want you here. Like, we know you're going to make it. So, I mean, I think it's just a matter of time before we see All Elite, or Darian Bengston is All Elite. I think a matter of time. Like I said, man, I think very highly of you. I think it's going to be such a great future for you as well. And I would love to see you live doing your thing in person. I think it'd be sick. But yeah, I see big things for your future for sure.
Thank you so much. That means a lot. And I don't want to, you know, do a disservice to them in any way. I would love to, you know, to work for AEW would be wonderful. But I think for me, ultimately, it's just about investing in myself, you know.
Oh, for sure.
It doesn't matter what company, wherever I go, you know, wherever I work, you know, you have people, Alex Shelley, like we talked about. Alex Shelley could be in any company he wants to be right now. But, you know, he's just really invested in himself. And, you know, that's something I want to mirror as well. I really want to,
for sure.
If they want me and they want to work with me, I would love to. But ultimately at the end of the day, I'm the one that I have to, you know, be.
For sure. No, I get it. I would love to see you in AAW. AAW is a Chicago-based promotion, and it's been broadcasting so many more talents, younger talents. We just seen JDX there. I've seen Jason Hodge there. I mean, I've been in talks with them about some stuff actually myself, but I would love to see Darian Bengston in an AAW ring in Chicago. I think that would be something awesome to see. And hey, who knows? We might get that triple threat match that I want to see there live and in person.
I love that.
But Darian, I appreciate you being on the show, man. It was a lot of fun. I enjoyed getting to know you a little bit better. I hope the fans got to know you a little bit better. And like I said, man, I see big things for your future for sure.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Absolutely, man. Do you want to tell the fans where they can find you at on social media?
Yes, you can find me at Lord Bengston on Instagram or at Darian Bengston on Twitter. Yeah, that's me.
Lord Bengston, Darian Bengston, everybody.
There it is.
Guys, this has been episode 49. We're one away from episode 50. Next week, episode 50 anniversary show. I'm really looking forward to it. Come on by and visit. It's open availability for anybody to come on. But thank you guys so much. Darian, thank you so much. I can't wait to see what the future holds for you, brother.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you.
You're welcome. You guys take care.